Do you mind keeping an eye? Yes. Yeah, I pass it to your neighbor.
No, not yet. Still just making it right in like about.
Who's up for the Zoom meeting on this? Do you know? Oh, where it is on? I'm sorry. I just always go to the web page. All fair? Will this work? Oh, that's not going to work. I'll have to do the single glow. All right, folks. Well, happy October. Man, I don't know if we've had a more energetic start to the meeting before. I am a beekeeper, and as I was leaving the house this morning, and I had a couple of different ideas, I'm like, this isn't really a costume because I actually do this. I've got a full suit that I was going to wear, and my wife's like, that suit is grody. You're not wearing that anywhere. So this is the modified version. If you wore a costume today, stand up real quick. We've got some pretty good ones. We're going to be voting a little bit later, but let's do, we've got a killer whale. We've got Gary Keller and Mo Anderson, which is incredible. We've got, I thought it was Little Richard at first, but we got Prince. We have a representative of ODOT who's really slowing things down today. Looks like we got a flower child here with Mary Lou. Anyone? We have a spider lady. Any others? Oh, and Erica, come on now. Come on. Erica is the very epitome of an airline stewardess. I didn't even see the pin before I guessed, and I didn't want to offend her. I'm like, are you an airline? You know, no, this is just my outfit, Mark. We also, I can't tell, I think that might be Lynn. No, that would be. I'm gonna guess that's Lynn. That eye is absolutely horrifying. But we're gonna have some fun today, and we're gonna vote on the best costume, which I thought I knew who it was, but the people will decide. I'm also gonna remove my single glove because this doesn't work without it. Before we dive too deep, it's Christy's birthday today. We're not gonna sing, we're not gonna make you suffer, but thankful for your life and to be able to celebrate it with you. And it's also Tiffany Witter's birthday. Is she in here? I'm like fighting to see through the film here. So happy birthday, Tiffany, if you're joining us in any form. Amanda, who are we welcoming this month?
Okay, this month we welcomed 7 new agents. Jessica Reno, who I know is in here somewhere. Jessica. Mark Kovac, who is joining his wife Lisa Kovac. He's on. Okay, they're on.
Hey, Mark.
Juliet Hall, who is joining the Melissa Sanford team. Kyle Shepard, who is joining his wife Caitlin. Amy McConnell, who's joining the Mucci team. Ty Duxbury, who is also joining the Melissa Sanford team, and Kaylee Cerveni, who has joined the Tracy Jones team. So
Lots of
welcome,
team
everybody.
growth. Welcome. Fantastic.
Okay.
So we're gonna be sprinkling in some Halloween themed horror today. Amanda loves Halloween, so we're letting her
Despite my costume.
flex her muscles. Yes.
What is the most commercially successful horror movie of all time?
Gotta vote
You guys
for.
are all cheating, raise your hand. Mike, no.
Jaws.
No.
Eh.
No. No,
It is one word.
it's one word. Yes.
Oh, she didn't raise her hand. It is the correct answer. Ooh. My in-laws have a really large sewer drain on their street, and it kind of gives me the heebie-jeebies every time I walk by.
You should hang like a red balloon out of it.
Yeah, my uncle included me in the viewing of that movie when I was like 8. So
House therapy.
that explains a little bit about me. Let's talk a little bit about what's happening in the market. We're going to look at the kind of our service area, and this is Stark, Summit, Tusk, and Wayne. I know we serve Carroll a little bit. I know we've got folks in Ashland and Mansfield, and that'll be Thursday's conversation for those that are joining there. But a little bit of year-over-year comparison, and then we're going to look at our market center as well. I'm gonna take this one. You guys, you get the idea. So in September, again, in those areas, 1,300 homes were sold, which is down 13.5% year over year. 341.5 million in volume was sold, which is down 4.8%. So we know that because the average sales price is up, these aren't going to track closely. So the volume isn't down as much as units are, but don't be fooled. We play a units game, not a volume game. Listings taken is down 1%. Months of inventory has gone from 1.94 to 2.33, which is still an overwhelmingly seller favorable market, because a balanced market is what, Ignite people? 6 months. So we're still well in that territory, but a 20% move is a meaningful move. Hey, Holly, come on in. Oh, okay, sorry. And then the average sale price for those areas, and again, these are going to be, it's not a weighted average for you math nerds. So Summit County is going to tilt these higher because more sales were done in Summit County than were done in Tusk and Wayne, certainly. Then for us, kind of some similar numbers. We serve 285 clients, which is down 6%. So we're down half of what our area is, just for you to understand some comparison there. Volume is down 2.5%. So we're basically doing half better than our area. We've taken 10% more listings than we did this time last year, which is great. If our area is down 1% and we're up 10%, that means we're taking some more market share. Listings sold year to date or month over month is down 6.3%. Average sale price is up 7.1%. Our year to date volume per agent, so our average agent has sold $1.8 million year to date. Average and median can confuse things, but that's the average. And then our average agent has made year to date just under $48,000. And if you remember, we're doing the trip giveaway for anyone who hits 60,000 in GCI. So that we're tracking right there to have a good pot of folks included in that. Any thoughts or questions, any observations there as you think about what's happening in the market? Any surprises?
It's very area dependent right now. I will say that.
Say more about that.
I'd like in Stowe, average days on market, there's still 2 days, but so you go to Akron, it's 30 to 60. So
Right.
It's been very,
Yes,
depends on where you're shopping.
absolutely. I was tempted to pull these numbers just for the whole MLS. It's like, we have people that serve everywhere, but gotta focus a little bit. Other thoughts or observations? Is that better or worse than what you guys might have thought or what you're feeling and seeing? Right on track? Lynette?
I mean, it's interesting that the sales price, I think, is up, considering we hit the shift, right? And so in general,
Yeah,
prices have leveled off, or, houses are on the market a little bit longer, but the sale price is still.
right. And just on that for a second. So the what's happening in the market impacts the behavior at the beginning of the transaction more than it does after the deal's closed. So we're at the front end of a shift. We're not deep in it by any stretch of the imagination. So for sales prices to continue to be a little bit higher, basically means the Fed's going to, keep their foot on the gas until we see that adjust, and we haven't yet. Other thoughts or observations? Cool. Nick, why don't you come on up and give us a profit share and production update.
Yeah, so for September, profit share was 55,848.28 cents, which is a great profit share month. You can see on the check, the year to date for that is 383,869, and I can't read the cents from here, but I think it's 45.
93.
What is it?
93.
Man, I was way off. But that's a great.
Read the fourth line. Read the-
Yeah, right. I'm gonna need to do that. Yeah. So our September cappers, Olivia Christie, Rich Cosgrove, and Samantha Hopper.
Woo.
Congratulations.
Sam was just in here for another closing and had to jump off somewhere else. All right.
All right, September top producers. This list, I feel like every month it's just getting larger. Here we go. Andy Alamini, Jessica Adkins, Tina Bagnoli, Brian Brobson, Jonathan Burris, Dan Butera, Cindy Carpenter, Amy Carricker, Joseph Clark, Carol Cooper, Rich Cosgrove, Jared Dutton, Patty Dutton, Val Espenshee. Is that right?
You nailed it.
I'm doing
Killing
it.
it. Yeah.
Amanda Garcia, Amanda Gordon, Amy Guthrie, Tom Heidi, Jeff Helfrich, Eric Henry, Rachel Hogue, Samantha Holmes, Samantha Hopper, Nikki Horvath, Michael Humphreys, Daniel Jendrzak, Tracy Jones, Jamie Kelly, Alyssa Kingzette, Marcy Clee, Michelle Knight, Jessica Laird, Annabelle Lakota, Christian Lamb, Hannah Lapps, Greg Martin, Kevin McCauley, Jose Medina, Melissa Milmeyer, Jen Mucci, Talithia Mummertz, Deb Overland, Tiffany Pepper, Nick Remark, Jonathan Riley, Melissa Sanford, Sadie Schofield, Lori Sjosted, Melissa Steiner, Rachel Sadakarin,
Wow.
Chris
Jeez.
Treese, Holly Van Riper, Jackie Wycombe.
You were so close. You were so close.
I even talked to her earlier, like a week ago.
Thanks, Jeff.
Stephanie Webb.
Well done. I feel like, the rest of the meeting, we just talk about stuff, but for Nick, it's like, doing a gauntlet for that each week, so. Well,
Congratulations.
well done. Yeah, that's awesome. That's an incredible amount. And our company dollar, which is the actual money that comes in a given month to us to pay the bills and then to profit afterwards, that it was an all-time high in September, which means more people are selling homes, not just our top people who have capped are selling homes, but a higher percentage of people sold homes in September. So the market is shifting and you guys are continuing to push and kick some butt, which is fantastic. Rich, come on up. Rich is a little bit sun-kissed. He spent like a day and a half in Florida before coming.
Yeah,
up.
very short amount of time. We did not get outside at all, with the exception of, actually, that's a great segue.
Yeah, Rich, why don't you stand here for, the camera wants to be here, so.
Okay.
you-
Maybe, it's following you, Mark, it's the shiny baldness. Actually, that's a great segue into the KW Cares, guys. I would like to share with you, having the opportunity to have been down in Florida, in Southwest Florida, and see the devastation this past weekend was crazy. Like, what you're seeing on the news doesn't even compare to what those people are going through. And the KW agents down there, we were able to donate some boxes and some items and so that. They are in a warehouse that is close to the water, that is like ramshackled, and like the garage doors like beat in from the wind and rain and all that stuff. And you have tons of Keller Williams signs leading you back into like this area where then you have nothing but lines of generators and food tables and cars and trucks and people donating things and picking things up. Like, it was amazing to see that our company is so successful in sending all of those items down there for people. And I said, where did all this come from? Like, KW Care, it's like, every time you give that $10 on your check or whatever you're giving, try not to remove that from there, because that $10, I mean, those people down there need generators like you can't imagine. And it was so cool to see the truckload of generators that we purchased as a company and were brought in for people. So continue to do that.
Mhm.
Let's talk a little bit about Keller Mortgage. If you guys haven't used them, I know Mark and I have both used them in the past. Great opportunity for you. We actually just recently partnered with them. So not only are we partnered with Cross Country and we want to continue that partnership, but we also have the opportunity for you to partner with Keller Mortgage. If you haven't used them, I know Eric Henry, he's not here today. He's used them. You can talk to him a little bit about, Lynette, you've used them. So definitely more to come on that. I don't think we've been assigned a loan officer yet. If we have, I don't know who it is. Jose, do we know? No, not yet. So we'll be giving you that information soon. Want to talk a little bit about MLS. MLS now has, if you've used the app, or actually lack of an app, but if you've gone online and tried to use it, MLS now has MLS Touch. And so it's an app that we can download. I tried to do it this morning. It didn't work. So I will get you some information on that. But MLS Touch is supposed to be an app that you can download and now have the MLS app right at your fingertips instead of having to worry about it not working online. So more to come on that. Also, I don't know, does anybody know who Ann Pettit is by chance? Okay. Ann Pettit was the superintendent of real estate at the division. Well, surprise, she retired from the division and was now hired by MLS Now as our quality assurance department head. So I don't know exactly what that means, but I do anticipate that they are going to be on the ball, making sure we are doing what we're supposed to be doing with 24-hour, showings, making sure that things are in the MLS and what have you. So we have a new superintendent, Daphne Hawk. I may have mentioned that before, but Ann Pettit is full-time now in MLS now with the quality assurance department. So I'm sure more to come with that. Again, I'm not exactly sure what all she's going to be in charge of, but I do know that if she was looking at our licenses and now she's looking at this, you can expect that she's going to be looking for us to be doing our jobs and putting things in a timely fashion. So one of the updates that they brought out last week is for those of you that have clients, so those of you that have tenants in a property and require a 24 to 48 hour notice before you can show the property, you now have to put that in the broker remarks. So it doesn't matter if it's an owner occupied property or if it's tenant occupied property, you have to put it in the broker remarks if it's longer than a 24-hour delay for a showing. Does everybody understand what that means? Okay, so 24 to 48 hours, put it in the broker remarks. And then I think one of the things I'm most excited about today is to talk a little bit. I know we talked about RPAC and legislative wins. I'm going to skip that for now, for the interest of time, but we actually have an opportunity to get more office space. So in this building. So if you are interested, talk to Mark, talk to me. It's going to be a little bit, we don't have all the details worked out yet, but we are hoping to get more office space. I know Scott and Lynette, you talked about wanting some more space possibly. I know there's other agents that have talked about wanting to share an office or have more space. So I am excited to say we have an opportunity, get with Mark or I, so we can get you that price on what that might be and what that would look like. But it's going to be downstairs on the lower level, but again, in the building, so we'll still have copier access and things like that. So, okay, thanks, guys.
Thanks, Rich. Appreciate you. Chrissy, if you could just like help me with
Yeah.
that as necessary. All right, our next one. I feel like I need the organ back here.
What is the most popular Halloween candy in America? Reese's, no. No. Frozen. No.
Snickers bars?
No, it's not chocolate. Cliff,
Oh, I was gonna say, never mind.
you're out. No. Yes, Katie,
I was gonna say Katie.
you're out. Rich,
Peeps.
no.
I was surprised at that, but I've definitely done my part in that department.
What? I will email it to you.
When we do the like, all right, let's get it all, and we have a like, all right, you guys can eat whatever you want tonight and then tomorrow, and then it's gone. Like, we're pretty serious, and gone, it means it goes up into our little cabinet, and I just raid all the fruity stuff. I love fruity candy. Oh, making me hungry just looking at it. All right, Gina Legeza. I have not seen if you are here, but that doesn't mean that you're not. It looks like you are not. We will forge ahead. More trivia.
All right. How many calories are in an average trick or treater's candy snack? It's not as high as you would think.
3,000.
Higher,
Oh, 5,000.
higher,
We're playing like the price, right?
higher.
Whoa.
11,000?
Yeah.
No. A little higher. 11, yes.
11,000 calories. That's just like a
Average.
couple
day.
days worth of food. Come on. We don't need to, that's a downer question.
This is Erica, she was like guessing like way high, and I'm like, man, this isn't any fun.
It should be like how many joy units are unleashed in, you don't need to worry about calories. 11,000. All right, Nick, come on up. We are going to have a conversation, and full disclosure here, Nick has been a part of me audibling. We have someone who's a kind of specialist in teaching on this topic who was unable to come this morning, but we're going to do a full kind of CE class on working with distressed buyers and sellers. Likely in November, we're still ironing some of that stuff out. But Nick, tell us a little bit about your background and why you're here having this conversation with me today.
Yeah, so I am not a licensed real estate agent in the state of Ohio, but I have worked in Florida, and I worked as a licensed real estate agent during the last economic downturn when we had the market crash. And so one of the things that we handled a lot of were REO properties and short sales. So it's something that I've touched on, from negotiating short sales to working with asset managers to working with buyers to personally purchasing a short sale property. So I understand some of the ins and outs of that to be able to answer some questions.
Fantastic. How many in the room, just for me to get a sense, have participated either as a client or as an agent on a distressed situation? So bank owned, foreclosure, short sale.
First time this morning.
Hey, Katie, come on down. Give us some candy. So roughly half the room. Great. Foreclosures and short sales have been basically an on thing in the last 2.5 years. If you've been licensed since COVID, which a good percentage of the room has, the government pressed pause on that. And so as we're having this conversation, because as the market shifts and softens and changes and certain stimulus programs are pulled away, we're likely to see more of it. This is not 07, and we've said that a bajillion different ways over the last couple of months. So this isn't me predicting that it's about to get crazy out there in that sort of way. But because it's been a non-issue for the last couple of years, we want to have some conversations about it. So before we dive in, so this is going to be a little bit of distressed buying 101. Nick, give us kind of define the terms briefly for us.
Sure. So a short sale is an instance, obviously, where a seller, they own a property and they're upside down. So the property value versus what their loan is for, or sometimes it matches, but after closing costs, they're upside down on the loan. So they can't sell it for more than what it would cost in their loan amount versus the closing costs. So they work with an agent, and sometimes that agent will do it themselves, or they'll work with a short sale negotiation specialist who then works with their lender to come up with an amount based on an offer that they may receive. So they put the property on the market, and they work on finding a happy medium, so the bank's not having to go through foreclosure proceedings. So it's a pre-foreclosure sale, basically, that allows the buyer, or excuse me, allows the seller to sell the property for less than what they owe. And then depending on how that turns out, depending on the reasons why they're short selling, they may have to pay the remainder that they owe, or the bank may forgive them of that amount. But typically it's done because it's not as big of a hit to your credit at foreclosure. And the bank, like I said, would rather do that than have to go through all of the headache of going through the foreclosure proceedings.
Which brings us to
Yes, so foreclosure is when obviously the bank, a buyer, or excuse me, seller defaults on their loan by missing a payment. They get a notice of default, and the bank decides to go towards foreclosure. That includes evictions and stuff like that. And the bank is basically taking the property back. So they're taking the property back and they're getting ready to put it back on the market to sell, to try to get some of the money back for the loan that the seller took out on it. HUD in this instance is basically a foreclosure that was backed by a government-backed loan. And so that's when they become HUD homes, when they're for sale as a HUD home, or in the perspective of foreclosures. But obviously HUD stands for Housing Urban Development, and that is that has its own definition, but in this case, that's what that's regarding.
Sure.
And then REO stands for real estate owned, but that is basically just bank-owned property that is for sale.
For those of you who don't know Jeremy Brobson, he is a kind of asset manager in this space, or he represents asset managers, I should say, and specializes in the REO space. He's on a flight back from West Coast today. All right, so as we think about why are foreclosures or short sales more likely or less likely to be coming, just a couple things. And as we look at family reunion and mega camp, we look at the charts of what's happening in the economy. For us, again, we're the local economists of choice. We're supposed to understand what's happening nationally, and particularly what that means for our local area, because the implications are always local. So home affordability, as prices have gone up, it's harder for people to afford their homes. The cost of money, aka interest rates. We've seen the cost of money grow by 8.6% in the last 12 months. Unprecedented inflation paired with the interest rates, which is designed again to curb that inflation. Unemployment. Anyone want to comment? What are we seeing in unemployment? Is it good news, bad news as it relates to jobs right now? Unemployment is low. Yep. Right around 4% is where you want to be, and we're underneath that, which is what causes employers to have to raise their wages and become more competitive, which is has yet to really happen, but will happen. That's the factor. And then government programs, which that's a broad blanket conversation, but when COVID hit, stimulus hit, forbearance, and basically, if you're having issues with your mortgage, we're not going to penalize you to the same extent. And as they pull those back, so people who might have been in foreclosure territory were basically granted reprieve for the last couple of years to not pay the price, so to speak, for the difficulty. Anything to add there? Anything that we're missing kind of category wise?
Mark, one thing to kind
Yeah.
of touch on real quick, when it comes to short sale, when you recently touched on that. Like if a borrower had a short sale and they wanted to get another property, right? How long would they normally have to wait? Does anybody know that answer? After a short sale, how long would you have to wait? 3 years. Close. It used to be 4 years. But now Fannie shortened it to 2 years, okay, but that requires, they'll have to put at least 20% down to get the 2-year mark. I mean, if say they only have 10%, I think this will have to wait for, but at least it gives them another option. If they've got 20% to put down, and that's 2 years after a short sale, they can actually get a conventional mortgage now
That's a great point.
and not to have to wait like, 4 like before. That's a recent change.
Right.
And one other product too, if it's a HUD owned house and the customer is going FHA, they can actually purchase a house with only $100 down and finance up to $10,000 in repairs, which
Wow,
is a really great program.
that's a big deal. Hey, Scott, would you mind sticking your head out and asking Amanda to turn the temp down a couple, the temperature down a couple clicks? Yeah, yeah. Baby Shark is wilting over there. So this is I think you may not be able to read this all that well, but as we understand kind of what happens to lead towards a higher foreclosure environment. So first of all, it's a demand issue. So at the top there, fewer buyers and more sellers. Are we seeing that beginning to happen? Yes. So months inventory just clicked up by 20%. That means that it's slowing down. Interest rates have spooked many buyers, and sellers have not yet fully caught up to reality, which is our job. Average home prices then begin to fall, which we haven't seen yet. Sellers then get upside down. Who's likely to get upside down over the course of the next year?
People that pay diesel gas and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. I don't care how much it costs, I want it. And so that person whose job situation changed in the midst of paying more than what it was worth, that's push comes to shove when you can't afford the house that you paid too much for. If your job grows and there's no problem there, then you're okay. But yeah, the no inspections, appraisal gaps, the craziness that we've seen over the last couple of years is when the tide goes back out. Foreclosures then increase, REOs hit the market. Nick, can you differentiate between the foreclosure increasing and then REOs hitting the market? Why are those different things?
Sure. So the banks have multiple options for selling property that they own. So an REO is property that the banks decided to put up with an agent to list on the market, but they can also auction property off. So they'll foreclose on the property. And if you use, we talked about it a little bit, but if you guys have in your MLS, you have realist tax, you can search for foreclosures specifically, and you can even search for pre-foreclosures. And so what that will do is show you what's foreclosing and then the time gap between them deciding if they're going to auction it off or if they're going to decide to put it in with asset management and then list it with an agent on the market.
Right. So the REO is basically now the bank is representing that asset and is looking to move it. Yeah, Scott?
So I ran into where we had offers in and just the amount of time. So I wonder if you could speak about that. Because like there are multiple offers, not just from us, and the bank just didn't respond, and we're talking months.
Yeah, that's something we were going to talk about.
Yep.
You want me to jump into that or wait off?
We'll get there in a second. So just from a mindset standpoint, if you've been licensed in the last couple of years, all you've known is a traditional or a client-friendly market, even though it's been hard. It hasn't featured the banks in the same way that it's about to. So in a traditional market, sellers are seeking a positive return to power their next home purchase, whereas in a distressed property market, they're seeking whatever they can get to get out of their difficult situation. Buyers are seeking the right home at a reasonable price in a traditional market, whereas buyers are more likely, when they're looking at these types of properties, they're looking for deals. I'm buying this because it's going to be less costly. Do you want to talk about the lenders piece there, Nick?
Sure. So when you have lenders, obviously, like this is talking about, they're open to making loans and creating products and policies for a traditional market. Once the market change is over, they're going to tighten what they're willing to loan on, but also similar how we're shifting, lenders are also going to shift. Obviously, they have different departments that are working on stuff, but the mindset for them shifts as to what's more important. So they're looking at what they have as far as loans and what they need to do to get those off-boarded because they want to get back their money. So there's a shift for them as well, not just for agents.
And then agents in a traditional market, they kind of know what they're doing. We could debate that. And then in a distressed market, they have no idea what they're doing. So that's the bullet point there. I wanted to put this up here, and this is from one of the shift classes that we're actually going to be diving deeper on in like a month or so. But Nick, walk us through what we're looking at here.
Yeah, so this is an aggressive slide. I told Mark when he showed me that, oh my God, it's good though. So basically,
It's important to understand the process. I think, oh, I'm helping someone buy a foreclosure. Like if you don't understand the process, you're limited in the value you're able to provide.
yeah, so basically you have someone who owns a property, they're probably upside down on value. And so they have a loan for a certain amount, they don't pay, so they get a notice of default. Once you get a notice of default, you've got some time before you can actually get foreclosed on as a seller. In that time frame, you have a couple of options as a seller. They can do a deed in lieu or a loan modification where they're working with the seller to change what they owe. Maybe the issue isn't that the seller is trying to get out of what they owe, but they need to change how that's structured and what they're paying because they can't afford the payment. So the bank may work with them to try to make that the payment different or some form of that. And that's typically like a loan modification. Another option is a short sale. So I was talking earlier about Realist Tax, which is in your MLS that you can search for pre-foreclosures. Mark actually did a search this morning. There's not that many, but there will, as the market shifts, there will be more pre-foreclosures. And what that is the bank putting a judgment on the property. They're giving out those notices of default. When that happens with the intent to foreclose, you as a listing agent, you can go search those and reach out to those people and say, hey, there's another option for you besides getting foreclosed on. You could go with a short sale. And so that's an option for sellers to get out of getting into foreclosure. Once we get to the point of foreclosure happening, and you can be a part of a short sale up until that point, where the bank just cuts ties and decides to take over the property. Then we run into the different options for the bank as a seller. They can auction it, pre-list, use a third party to sell it. If they don't do that, they'll sign it to an asset manager
Who works for the bank.
Right. And an asset manager is just basically looking at the properties that the bank owns based on the loans that they foreclosed on. And then they're going to assign those to listing agents in the field. These banks aren't always local. So you're dealing with someone who might be in Texas or in California or in Chicago or wherever. And so they're not going to understand what the asset managers that are working with these listing agents, when you're trying to get under, communication. Hey, I've got a buyer and you have to follow these rules. You have to respond within this amount of time, like Scott was talking about. The bank doesn't care. The bank doesn't care. The asset manager, they do not care. They are just looking at numbers and that's it. So setting the expectations with your buyer up front, saying, hey, this is not like a normal sale. So we're going to be operating on their timeline to get responses back for things. And when they do respond, they're going to give us a timeline. And typically it's very quickly. We have to be
It's
willing
an
to-
asymmetrical
Yes,
relationship.
it is not a win-win scenario on that aspect. So the win for the buyer is the price point that you're coming in at, but for the bank, they're trying to get rid of it. So they're gonna do what they want to do.
Sorry.
What would put them in a pre-foreclosure status versus a I know foreclosure comes after, but what would qualify them to go into that status?
That's when they get a default. So when the bank will have to file, because there's laws about how quickly a bank can foreclose on a property. So they have to file pre-foreclosure status with the county. So the county is then filing that. In Florida, that's done electronically. And so that's a part of why I think there's not that many that show just yet, because I think up here in Ohio, that's done with paper. And so that may take longer for the county's information to get uploaded to.
I think
Realist.
wagon also, horse and wagon.
They said it'd be a bird. No, and yeah, so we move over, we've listed with an REO agent, and then we're dealing with a purchase and we have buyers. What I loved over here is the bank fails side. I told Mark, that's pretty extreme. That's awesome. But
Gary's ever skeptical. So just so we understand all the risks, the bank could fail, creating different challenges. This is a version of what we just saw, but this breaks down the client side of it, the personal shift. So what's happening in the person's life? They missed a payment, they got the notice, they're offered the modification potentially, intent to foreclose. So those, basically those first 4 steps, Carl-Ann, to your question, are
So
what,
they just miss one.
Yeah, it
If
could
it's
be one.
Then they go into pre-foreclosure at that time.
Well, they don't immediately go into pre-foreclosure. It really depends on how many the bank's dealing with, right? So.
and that's probably going to depend on the bank too.
It's gonna depend per bank, because you're gonna have smaller banks and larger banks, and so, and also the rate at which people are defaulting. In 2007, you had so many people default at the same time that people weren't getting notice of foreclosure till a year later, 2 years later. So they lived there free, but then the bank was taking the property, so it just depends.
Do you want to talk about redemption or reinstatement and how that could throw a monkey wrench in the whole thing?
Are you, I actually don't know what that's in regards to unless it's talking about title.
My understanding, yeah, Jose.
There's a certain amount of period after the foreclosure that the homeowner can
Right.
make good on their payments.
Right.
And buy their house back, basically.
Oh, okay.
Very rarely happens, but.
Yeah, I had a family member who was about to buy a foreclosure and then, and and you're happy for them. Well, I'm glad you're able to rectify your situation, but also we were all getting ready to move into your house. So this is awkward. So that's the fine print if you're buying this. Yeah, sure. Here are the 3 types of buyers, and we don't need to dive too deep on that. We just want to talk, like, Nick, what is different as you think about representing a buyer? And so that's primarily the lens here. Hey, we're working with someone that's interested in buying a house that's in this sort of situation. What's different about this scenario as opposed to a traditional purchase?
Working with a buyer, yeah, I mean, I touched on it a little bit, but one is your time frame. So you're gonna have a contract that you're used to, that you're gonna submit for an offer if they allow you to submit the contract that you have. Sometimes they'll have a blank bank version uploaded to the MLS and you have to use that one. And so make sure you're looking at that, knowing that your timeframes, contingencies, they're all gonna be different than what you're used to. And so paying attention to that so that your customers understand that. Typically, when you're, as a buyer has sometimes 3 points of negotiation. So they can negotiate at the beginning when they're bringing in an offer, how much they're willing to offer on the property, any other terms. Then you do inspections, you can kind of negotiate there depending on if you find stuff. And then also when you get an appraisal on a home, if they're using a loan and there's an appraisal gap. I know in the market that we're just coming out of, people are paying for that, but in a normal market, that would mean that we would discuss possible options there if the property appraised for less than what it was being purchased for. With REOs, the banks typically aren't going to negotiate after you're in contract. So the banks aren't looking for, if you're going to try to do inspections, you're probably more than welcome to have an inspector out, but on their contract, they're not going to typically allow for inspections. And they're going to have their own timeframes. They're going to allow for open extensions for their sake. So letting a buyer understand that, hey, I understand that this contract says it's closing in 60 days, but there's also this section that allows them to extend for almost an indefinite period of time.
Right.
Know that that's going to happen. It's not like, oh, it might, it's going to happen. They're going to extend. And then as is, this goes back to the thing I was talking about with inspections. They're looking to unload these properties. They're not looking to negotiate for repairs. They're not going to repair. And the same with short sales. Even though you are partially working with a seller, that seller is typically in a distressed situation. They don't have money to do repairs. They don't have any of that. And so I typically, when we were dealing with these buyers, we would say, hey, let's do a lot of the legwork up front, which you have to do quickly because these properties typically go fast. But have someone walk through with you to look at things, whether it's a general contractor or an inspector prior to you writing that offer so that you know what you're getting into if that's what you feel comfortable with. Because the risk to reward, obviously there's a higher reward, but going into these contracts, there's a higher risk because you don't have as many contingencies to get out of a deal. Be very patient. Yeah. Like I said, timeframes are different, and as soon as they reach out to you, they want you to jump right away and do everything that they want, but they're not going to do that for you. So know that that's the case, and know that the listing agent that's working with the asset manager, they're working with someone they haven't met. they're working with someone they don't necessarily have a relationship with. And so they're also a bit confused of how the process is going, and if they haven't worked with them before, then there's gonna be some disconnect there, so you're not dealing with a personable person on the other side, an individual, so to speak. You're dealing with a bank and they have numbers that they're just trying to meet based on the loan that they.
Slow and unemotional,
Yes,
except when they say that.
very objective.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Buyers be absolutely qualified. That's pretty self-explanatory, but make sure that they can buy and make sure that they understand the risk they're going into. Offers with clean terms win. So the more you try to be creative, a lot of times with banks or short sales, the harder it's going to be to get your offer accepted.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for creative financing terms, the bank is not going to be interested in that. They want something they know is a solid deal. Decision times are improving.
I don't know what that means.
I don't either. The seller is unemotional. We talked about that. Multiple offers happen. You are gonna see that those listing agents for REO, even short sales, they're gonna let you know, hey, we have multiple offers. On short sales, it's gonna be contingent on short sale approval. They're gonna make you put that on the offer, that it's contingent on short sale approval. There's most likely an addendum for that it has to get approved with the lender. So you're really negotiating up front with the seller, which means nothing, where the seller says, sure, you can buy a house for 220, even though I have a loan for 250. But we got to get short sale approval. So once that gets signed, it gets sent to the bank, and they're going to look at, their loan to value.
To Scott's question, we've submitted, we know we're in multiples, we're not hearing a thing.
Mhm.
Is there anything to do or just wait and manage your client's expectations?
Manage your client's expectations. Yeah, so do that up front when you're dealing with that, but also I would say don't bog the other agent down. Know that they have probably a lot of offers. Know that they're working with someone who is unemotional and isn't necessarily invested in the property itself. So kind of be as friendly as you can without being annoying to those agents, because if they're working with asset managers, most likely they have multiple of these properties and they're dealing with them a lot. Towards the end of that, even those agents weren't even involved. So a lot of banks will have stuff. They have a website online that is similar to the MLS, doesn't function very well, and you're having to upload your offers, upload your information, and you're not even dealing with an agent. Go ahead, Rich.
The only thing I was gonna add to that is sometimes, at least what that I've ran into is if you have never done a short sale as a licensee and you're dealing with an agent that's never done a short sale as a licensee, they may have no idea. If they're berating them every single day about what's going on, may be important because they maybe haven't done what they need to do. There's a lot of steps to go into a short sale before you even list the property. Typically, the seller has to qualify. It's almost like qualifying for a home loan again, showing that they've had a financial hardship. So having an experienced agent that knows what they're doing on the other side is very important. So I would say if you're representing a buyer, ask the question, has that agent ever dealt with a short sale before? Because to your point, you could ask them every single day and they may think everything's going fine. So like in Scott's case where you didn't hear anything for a while, that is common, but it also could be the agent had no idea what they were doing.
Yeah, a polite ask, hey, have you done one of these before? Me neither, okay, Scott, did you have something to add?
No, Jose had his.
On the list side, there's a ton of paperwork that goes along with doing a short sale. I personally refer everything to Susan Schmidt because she is like, I don't know how she does it, but she's really, really good at it. Yeah.
That's helpful. Yeah, so we're not gonna, Sadie?
So it sounds like for short sales and REO properties, the inspections is like a big gray area. So with that, like this one I did this morning, it was just like go to this website and fill out your offer and then submit it. And if it gets accepted, we'll let you know.
Mhm.
Like, okay, so I did that and there was like no paperwork for the buyer to even sign off on.
Yeah, so
So-
even if they accept it, they're gonna give you a certain amount of time to have your buyer sign their contract. So they'll put their terms on that contract, submit it to you to get the buyer to sign.
Yeah, that's what it seemed like. And so for the inspection, is it something that you kind of would have to discuss with them at the bank after they say we accept your offer to see what that would look like if they're able to still have an inspection? I know there's no like renegotiating probably, but if something comes up from that, are they still safe to pull out free and clear in that type of situation, or
It depends on the contract.
so just
So
make
what
sure
they
you look that
sign, so
over?
read that contract
very
over before
clearly.
you sign it, and they're only gonna give you so much time.
Okay.
And that's a part of doing as much homework as you can up front,
Yeah,
because the contracts are designed to get the buyer in and they're in for the long haul. So
Right.
it doesn't mean that they may not have a section that allows them to do an inspection. Because I have seen that, but when I was dealing with them, a lot of them did not. And so once you sign that contract, you're locked in. So it makes it a little bit.
I'd say more importantly, too, if the apply, I'm sorry, not the appliances, the utilities aren't on, that can be a serious problem. I think Jessica can speak more to that and Cliff, but that's another thing that agents don't realize. If the utilities are not on, you aren't gonna, one, be able to do inspections, and two, the appraisal could be affected because you don't have the opportunity for them to run water and do those things. And a lot of times in foreclosures, you can't turn on utilities. They will not allow you to. So make sure you're checking with the lender before you even write the offer. Because if the utilities have to be on for appraisal and they can't be, you're not gonna get it anyway.
Scott, and then we're gonna move it along.
I was just gonna say, you know, I think our role is to let people know upfront, because as you said earlier, people are looking for a deal.
Yeah.
But to let them know the deal comes with these
Yeah,
challenges, and I think some people, once they hear those challenges, they're not sure they want to do that.
yes.
So I
Oh,
think
I hear
that's being
foreclosures are
informed.
cheap. I'll do that.
Yeah,
Okay, you can find value there, and short sale has nothing to do with the time frame. It has everything to do with, it's just a financial definition. So get ready to, buckle up, because it's gonna be a ride. Yeah, it's not the best option for many buyers. Can be a good option. Nick, anything else to add before we?
Just real quick to speak to what Rich was saying, a lot of times buyers will have to do, if there's, Cliff and Jessica can tell you, if you're getting a loan on one of these properties, you still have to meet certain criteria with the property. And whether it's a short sale or whether it's bank owned, they're typically not going to do any repairs or make any changes. And sometimes you can get approval to make changes to a property. I've seen people not get approval and still make changes to a property. A lot of rules are going to be broken, okay? Don't be a part of that. If it happens, though, it is what it is. That being said, don't take that on as the agent. Set that expectation up front. Because a lot of agents during the last crash took that on and would say, I'll get that fixed for you. I'll deal with that.
That's a great
And
point.
you're cutting into your commission, and that's not worth it. Set the expectation up front with your buyer. Hey, the point of this is you want a good deal. You need to understand that you may have to do things that you wouldn't do in a traditional sale. For instance, when I bought my short sale, I had to drain the pool and clean it out and do all that stuff prior to knowing that I got it. So I put like $2,000 into a property that I had no idea if I was gonna get it or not. Now it worked out, but I understood that risk. Explaining that to them and not being the agent who goes, I'll just deal with that because you want the closing to happen. Set that expectation up front.
Great tip. We are gonna do more training on this. We're short on time. Did you have a quick little?
It would take too long.
Okay, Andrew, you have a quick little ad?
They do get 1099 proceeds from that, so just something to make sure that your sellers understand that. Really important.
Yeah, serious tax implications to that. Yeah, oh, that's a great point. Thank you, Nick.
Yeah.
Jumping in at last minute, and we'll do more deeper training on this. So stand by for more info. Can you name the colors of candy corn from top to bottom? First hand gets the Erica. Well, top, I'm gonna give that to you because what's the top and what's the bottom? I'm giving you get the prize. Here's the prize. Cross country, come on down. The things I do in the name of keeping it moving. I know you guys are great.
So first, just wanted to announce that we're having our cross-country mortgage event in Cleveland on November 2nd. I posted on the Facebook page. I just got notification while we were in here that the registration is full.
Oh,
I know, but I at least
That's
wanted to announce it because there is a waiting list. So if you are interested in coming to the event, just let me know. I can get you on the waiting list. They have a top realtor coach there that's going to be talking about the shifting market and really help our agents build their business. And that's, how we're trying to provide value to our realtor partners. So just come see me afterwards if you're wanting to get on that waiting list, and I'll add you to it.
It's at First Energy Stadium, right?
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
Yes.
Yes.
And it has so that's
Yeah.
always fun too.
Something positive actually happening at First Energy Stadium.
Exactly.
So,
There will be a win that, yeah.
But anyway, real quick, guys, I wanted to touch base on just a great benefit to all of your clients. So anybody that has a mortgage with Cross Country between now and really towards the beginning part of the year, we're gonna offer a refinance credit for them. We're gonna offer no lender fees refinance for every client that comes through. Okay, so we're predicting the market to kind of, the rates to maybe drop, maybe into, hopefully into like the fours and things like that. So if it drops a full percent, the buyer makes at least 6 payments, they can qualify with a no lender fee refinance.
6 payments, 1 full percent.
Yes, they
Correct.
have to drop by.
6 payments, 1 full percent, we can do it.
And
That's
the
awesome.
the sale on that is because, you know, if you look at it, it's helping buyers buy now because they're not competing like they were a year ago and all the multiple offers. So if you look at, okay, you could get this house for less now and refinance later, it's really helping buyers feel more comfortable. So
It really is.
if they need more information, just have them talk to Cliff and I, and we can explain it and try to get them going now instead of next year.
If you guys are having listings that are, you know, not moving as fast as you guys normally think they should, you know, offer in to pay, you know, so maybe some sellers pay closing costs. This is a great little new tactic, guys, too, you know, to help buy back points, because those points go towards the buyer's actual overall cost. Okay, towards their transaction, like their high cost. I know it'll take more time, but this is important stuff. So I just wanted to make sure and kind of go over that with you. So that could be, you can just talk to us more about that. We can discuss it.
Good word.
Okay.
Thanks, guys. Dates at the rate, right? All right, Gina. For those who weren't aware, we just did session 7 out of
Eight.
class 8.
Oh, okay, sorry. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, session
We're in the
seven,
midst of Ignite right
Yeah.
now, and Gina's gonna talk a little bit about that.
All right, I'm gonna put a couple people on the spot to give us their aha moments for the overall experience they've had with Ignite. So Ken, tell us what you've learned.
My overall experience is it's really helped me learn more finer detail of different processes of lead generating and just feeling, talking with people, getting ideas from other people. Social media, because I'm not a big social media fan and what to do with it and how to use it, so it's.
And today was a great class for that.
It's
Today was
been a
really
great
good
class for that.
So if you haven't been coming, you still have time. You can still come tomorrow and Thursday, and then it's back hosting it here next week in person. Preston, tell us what your experience has been.
It's good for agents that's been licensed for a few years like me, kind of realign where you're looking at, and it's great for new agents too, to kind of build that foundation. And like today, we talked about like the importance of branding, like even how important it is to choose the colors of your branding, which might not seem like a significant thing, but it does play a role.
A lot of little details like that. So yeah, so great. Well, hopefully our attendance continues to be good, and we've gotten a lot of great ideas out of it. Even if you just get one little gold nugget from every class, it's well worth attending.
I was talking with another agent yesterday who said she'd fallen off the wagon and was getting back on. And I'm like, you know what? That's life. Like, we all fall off wagons, and it's about getting back on, as opposed to feeling like, oh, everyone else is just on the wagon the whole time. Really using this analogy today. I haven't watched any Westerns recently, but like, yeah, if you've been licensed for 2 weeks or for 3 years, getting back on the wagon is part of the role.
And even looking at the materials myself, I'm jotting down notes of things that I have forgotten, because we will be getting back to doing things like we did prior to 2 years ago. So just a reminder, that's a great way to come.
Keep on coming. Yeah.
Watch it after the fact.
It is being recorded.
And Amanda, can you get with her about where it's being posted? Amy
Yeah,
asked me
it's
that.
on the legacy group guide, so I can send you a link to it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I think this may be our last
the last
last one. All right, every Halloween, Charlie Brown helps his friend Linus wait for what character to appear?
The Great Pumpkin.
The Great Pumpkin. Preston, you were so ready on that. Well done. All right, Stonegate.
That was not, I swear.
Was it last month that you guys matched perfectly?
Yeah.
You're a little bit off this time.
Well, we didn't, I mean, stress that, I don't know. Yeah, that's better. Andrea, I was like. Okay, sorry, I know we're. Okay.
And time.
And here we go. So a couple things, just going back to the topic that you guys were talking about, so important. The one thing I wanted to point out was on auctions, whenever you have somebody who is gonna purchase something via auction, like sheriff sale, the bank, when they acquire a property back, they're doing a search on that. Those searches don't always pull everything. Okay, so it is possible for your client to get a property
via not short sale, excuse me, via sheriff sale that doesn't pull all of the liens. So it's really important for your client to get title insurance and have that search done so that they're not inheriting all these extra liens that they're like, wait, I thought it was a sheriff sale. I thought that cleared everything out. Well, technically, theoretically, it's supposed to, but it doesn't always work that way. So there's been several times where we have done the title work for somebody who purchased something via sheriff's sale and we pulled out the liens and we were able to clear those for them. So as we're going into the season, just more information for you guys to know for your. Okay, profit share. So as you know, Stonegate Title does put money into profit share. How many people do profit share? How many people like get to participate in that? Yay! Okay, so a little bit of a drum roll. I can't. So this quarter, Stonegate put in
$15,155.54.
That's awesome. Thank you. Yeah.
So two things about that. One, get somebody to downline to get the profit share because that's money just free for you. Secondarily, when you send things to Stonegate, we help support you guys back. This goes for a lot of things back for you guys. Christmas parties, Halloween parties, I don't know, all the parties, all the things, all the lunches, all the things, you know, for us to help support you.
Prince is here for it.
So, and then also we are now open. We have a closed period and open period. So if you are about to cap or if you have capped this year and you are not a partner at Stonegate, you need to get with Sam, get with me. We want to make you a partner because now is the time. Okay, all right.
And then our Hocus Pocus event is coming up on the 20th from 12 to, who's already seen the movie?
Oh, cheaters.
The newest one?
Yeah, the newest one.
He's saving himself.
All right.
And we'll have concession stuff and
Popcorn, apples.
and Hocus Pocus treats.
Yeah.
It should be fun.
All right.
Nice. I didn't know Hocus Pocus was such a phenomenon. I was homeschooled. I don't know. Oh, it knows. It knows. All right. We have a visitor with us today. Erica,
I'm not.
are we on Delta today? United? What?
Yes.
I'll take a ginger ale, please.
Some of you might be familiar with Ann Presley, who is a transaction coordinator available to all of you and the other 3 market centers. Our newest addition today is Sophia Hernandez Ortiz. She is joining us as our marketing coordinator. And so she's got a lot of great products and services to offer to you. I will let her come up.
Should I play this? Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Sophia, come on up. Welcome.
Hi, I'm really short. You're probably not gonna. Social media is so important and a lot of people don't utilize it the way that it should be. Believe it or not, myself as an agent, I get almost 90% of my business from social media.
Wow.
I boost my posts, I share it in groups, it's so important. And having everything branded to you, I had a lady that I dropped off, she was a FISBO, I dropped off a sheet for her, just some information for her. And she had 6 other agents come through and they just gave her their card. And so my piece of information for her had all my information on there. And she called me and she's like, you're the only person I can remember. She's like, because you gave me something. So having those checklists and things that are tangible to hand out are very important. Building your brand is one of the biggest things because now everything's technology based. You can do door knockers, you can do things like that, but honestly, that falls at the bottom of the scale. People want to see it quickly and right away. Boosting it takes you to people that you don't normally know, who aren't on your social media, who are in on Facebook especially. If you and Instagram, if you boost a post, it goes to people who aren't your friend on there. So you're reaching out to people you don't know and that might need your services. So it's very important, but we do have different packages, different items, reels, small videos, informationals. With that, we also brand listing presentations and buyer presentations, which are very important. I think it's nice that you go and you present yourself. I know some people are about the numbers, but believe it or not, nowadays, a lot of people want to see who you are, as opposed to you're saying, oh, our area sold 800 houses. And they're like, well, what about my house? Like, that's all I'm worried about. So, it's social media is so important. So, and we do brand special packages for teams and for individuals, depending on what your budget is. So if it's something that's a little out of your realm, you can definitely email us and we'll get you a pricing package together and send you what our price guide is. And then if there's something else that you need or something that's specialized that you'd like, we can certainly do that for you.
Awesome. Thank you,
All right.
Sophia.
It's Essential Leverage MKTG.
Yes, not marketing, it's marketing. Yes. Essential Leverage, MKTG. We always want you, whether you're new or seasoned, to be asking the question, what's the best use of my time? Am I doing the thing that I love and that's dollar productive? And if not, how can I find ways to either reduce the time I'm spending on those things or find others to help with that? So that's the itch that this scratches. And we're thankful that you're here today. Yep, sorry. Amanda, come on up for the last couple announcements. We're just about there, folks.
I'll be really quick. Okay, so as Rich was saying about KW Cares, we are collecting gift cards or monetary donations for our KW family in Florida. So if you want to bring those into anybody on the leadership team, just bring them on into us and we'll send them out.
Hoping for
all
by
together.
next Wednesday. So run out to wherever next Wednesday by end of day.
Next, the trunk or treat is on the 22nd from 4 to 6. I'm begging you to sign up and decorate a trunk, otherwise we're gonna have to cancel it because we're not gonna have enough. And then it's gonna be like sad me in the parking lot, like other agents. So if you can, please sign up to decorate a trunk. If not, invite your sphere, come out and be on the lookout for that. And then the holiday party is coming up on Friday, December 9th. We only have 145 tickets that we're selling. So bring you and a +1. Make sure you sign up because you don't want to get left out because we're gonna have a lot of fun.
We had a hard time deciding, like, is it holiday, festive, professional, Christmas,
Oh,
what to
yeah,
wear, but
that's
like,
higher.
look classy and appropriate for the season.
And
It's
no
not-
ugly sweaters.
Yeah, no ugly sweaters. Strict no ugly sweater policy.
That's it. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Amanda. Go grab some lunch. Oh, no. Before we go,
Oh, yeah.
if you're here and you planned to win, like I dressed up, but I didn't plan to win. Zarice, Mary Lou, Mo, Gary, you can come down if you want. Katie, who else dressed for success? Jeff dressed for success, of course, Free Willy. All right, stand up, y'all. And I'm just gonna we're gonna just do it by
hollering.
Okay. Oh, and our terrifying raptor is also part. So everyone come up. Amanda, get a picture of him real quick, and then we're gonna go down the line and vote. We have $25 Amazon gift card and $10 Chick-fil-A gift card. Come on now, quick. Come on, Talenia. Erica, come on. All right. And we, folks in the chat can vote as well.
It's a hippie mark.
Hippie.
You weren't sure what I was.
Did I say flower? Oh,
I
I think you're a hippie.
didn't-
All right. All right. So we've got ODOT, we got Gary, we've got Mo, we got Free Willy, we got Prince, we got a hippie, and we got Spider Woman. So, all right, we're just gonna, based upon noise, Katie. Gary. Mo. Woo! Baby Shark. Prince. Woo! He didn't even bring his basketball up. Hippie. Right. And Spider Woman. Well done. Did you get a picture of the group, Amanda? Did you get a picture of the group? Awesome. All right, folks, go grab some lunch. Thanks for being here. Appreciate y'all. Thanks for joining us on Zoom.
What about Zoom?
What did you say, Lynn?
What about the Zoom? That was a bird. What about my Zoom costume?